So let's make a quick pastry dough. We're going to be making some apple-filled cookies, but it's going to be filled with sauteed apples. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's make this simple pastry dough. I have here 2 cups of flour, and I'm going to add 7 tablespoons of butter to this. I'm going to add, and I'm going to grate that butter into the flour. I'm going to use this grater. We're going to grate the butter into the flour here, and then with that we're going to add 1 egg and some sugar, and we'll get the dough together. Now I have my butter in here. We're going to just rub this butter into the flour. Until it becomes like breadcrumbs, like coarse breadcrumbs. That's going to take a minute or so. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll be back for the rest of the ingredients. And now that the butter is rubbed into the flour and it's nice and incorporated, add some sugar in here. We're going to be adding about 4 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to mix that in here. One egg. Some sour cream. 4 tablespoons of sour cream. And depending on how the dough comes out, you can add a little more if it's too stiff, depending on your consistency. So let's get this all mixed in. Let me just get a spatula to do that. Needs to come together some more. So that's 4. That's about 7 tablespoons. Maybe it's going to take about a quarter cup or about a half a cup of this sour cream mixture. I think this is going to be enough. We'll just bring it together now. We don't want to overwork the dough as usual, so we're just going to move it around a little and until it gets nice and smooth, and then we'll just put it away, and we'll get the filling made. Just want to move it around until it gets nice and smooth like this. Form it into a ball, and we just let it rest. Just cover it with a damp paper towel and let it rest. Let's prepare the apples. They have to be thinly diced, and after I peeled them, and I'm going to just slice the flesh off and leave the core. And then I'll do some thinner slices here. And then just dices. Because it's going to go in, it's going to be wrapped in the pastry, and you don't want, you know, too much of a large piece, though it's going to be soft, but you don't want large pieces in there. Then we're going to cook this in some butter, cinnamon, and a little bit of ginger with some lemon juice. So if they're too large, just do another slice here. You want some really small dices. So I'm going to go ahead, finish the rest, and I'll be back. On here, the juice of half a lemon onto the apples. Just so they won't lose their color. You're going to be cooking them soon. Just give this a mix. Just to let the lemon juice get all over it. Okay, let me set this aside and get our pot together. So over here I have like 3 tablespoons of butter in here. And we're going to melt this butter. Once this butter is melted, we're going to add some cinnamon, a little bit of ginger, and sugar. Now we're going to cook the apples in that. I'll add just a little bit of almond essence in there, just to give it a kick, and some cornstarch to tighten everything up. So just let the butter melt, and I'll be back. Now we have the butter melted. Just add the sugar, some cinnamon, a little bit of ginger, like a teaspoon of ginger powder, and a little bit of essence, almond essence I'm using. And we're going to just let the sugar melt. melted. We'll add the apples into it. Now we're going to fry this up until it's nice and soft. Once it's nice and soft, we'll just add a tablespoon of cornstarch just to tighten everything up, and so that it wouldn't be runny. Okay, so let's let this fry up for about a minute or so, and I'll be back. It's frying up nicely. We just let most of the liquid evaporate, and we'll put some cornstarch in there and tighten everything up. But just make sure your apples are soft. They're getting there. Now the apples are soft. We'll just add sprinkle a tablespoon of cornstarch on there. That's going to tighten everything up. Let this cook for a little bit. Once it gets nice and tight, we'll leave it to dry. Once we pull it off the fire, it's nice and thick. And we'll set this aside to cool. And once this is cool, we just come back and we'll start our filling. We'll fill our pastry. I'll be back. So here I have my dough that I rolled out. I rolled it out into a circle here. And I'm going to use the cover of a skillet because I need to get a nice round cut here. I don't have a large enough biscuit cutter, so I'll just use the cover of the skillet, which does a pretty good job. You want to make it a little fancy. These cookies, make them a little fancy. So what are we going to do here? We're going to cut this in 4. Cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. All right. And I'm going to get a biscuit pizza cutter. I'm going to make some designs on it. So now I'm going to use the pizza cutter. I'm just going to make some lines here, some cuts, but I'm not going to detach it from one point to another, from the top to the bottom, and on each side, but I'm not going to detach it. And then I'm going to roll put the filling in. I'm going to put the filling in here. And just put the filling in here. Not too much. Just put a little filling in there. And we're going to use some, you could use some liquid. You could either use some egg wash. So I'm going to use a little egg wash for the sides. And so we're just going to roll this over onto itself. Press it in here and roll this over onto itself. And you can use a fork or a spoon. You can use a fork or a spoon just to get that. Let me pick it up, place it on our parchment paper, and we're done. So I'm going to do another one so you can see. Once you get it in a triangle like that, you just make some cuts from the top to the bottom. Top to the bottom. But you're not detaching it. You don't want to detach it. All right. Get your filling. Put about a tablespoon of filling in there, or a little less, because you don't want it to be running out. Use your egg wash and wash. Fold over onto itself. Fold over again onto itself. Take your fork and just give it a press. Pick it up. Place it on your sheet. If you find it necessary, you can always stretch it out a little more. Okay. Top to bottom. Do not detach. Filling. Egg wash on the sides. Fold over on itself. Fold over on itself. You get a fork. You can just press this with your finger. It's going to stick. You don't really need a fork to press it in. Place it on your tray and you're ready. We're going to bake these at 350 for maybe about 20 minutes or until it gets nice and golden brown on the edges. Also, we're going to put some more egg wash in it before it goes into the oven. Okay, so I'll finish the rest and I'll be back. So I just painted them again with some egg wash, and once my oven gets to 350, we'll just stick them in the oven 20-25 minutes tops. You should be good. My apple pastry cookies. Yeah, you've got to find a name for it, but it's going to be delicious. So I'll be back when we're putting them in the oven. So the oven is at 350. Let's just put them in the oven. So we'll be in here for 20 minutes. We'll check on them after 10. We'll just look in on them and just make sure everything is going fine. And 25 minutes later, they're out of the oven, and we'll let them cool and do a taste test. They're looking wonderful. Cheers. An apple strudel, an apple cookie. It's just a lovely pastry dough stuffed with cinnamon apple. Cinnamon apple pastry. It's delicious. Once again, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next clip.